It's round 16 of the 2019 Formula One season, the Russian Grand Prix, our final stop off in Europe before we head on to the flyaways of Japan, Mexico, USA, Brazil and Abu Dhabi. And we come here with Ferrari, 4 poles in a row for Charles Leclerc. Will they have 4 victories in a row? It's time to find out. Welcome to the Russian Grand Prix. We move away from Singapore to Russia, round 16 of the 2019 season at the Sochi Autodrome, site of the 2014 Winter Olympics. It's a remarkable venue. It is one of the most unique on the calendar. Some races here have been less interesting than others, but we do tend to get a cracker. In terms of the calendar, it's stop number 16 on this 2019 calendar. 2 weeks time and we're in Japan for the Japanese Grand Prix in Suzuka. Another 2 weeks in Mexico City. We'll return as we start the final 4 races. Then a week later we're in the United States with the American Grand Prix. 2 weeks later, mid-November, it's the Brazilian Grand Prix. And right at the end of November, on the first day of December and Christmas, we get an early Christmas present ourselves. But we have to say goodbye to Formula One 2019, the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. In terms of the Drivers' Championship, well, Lewis Hamilton is dominating that one, 296 points to Valtteri Bottas and 231. Charles Leclerc and Max Verstappen are level on points, tied for third on 200. Sebastian Vettel, with that victory in Singapore, has closed that gap on 194 points. The battle now seems to be for second in the title if Valtteri Bottas starts to slip back. Pierre Gasly in the Toro Rosso, after switching back from Red Bulls in 6th, and looks to hold that unless Carlos Sainz can jump up. He's only 11 points behind. Alexander Albon and Daniel Ricciardo are in a battle as well for 9th, and 10th as well goes to Danica Kvyat, who's tied with Nico Hülkenberg on 33 points. Everyone from Daniel Ricciardo down, from Kvyat, Hülkenberg, Norris, Raikkonen, Perez are in a battle for 9th and 10th place in the championship. Lance Stroll, Kevin Magnussen are in a battle for 15th, Romain Grosjean is on 8 points, Antonio Giovinazzi is on 4 points after that top 10 finish in Singapore, Robert Kubica is still on 1 point, and George Russell, the only driver not to score. In terms of the Constructors' Championship, Mercedes are dominating and are due to be crowned the champions in 2 races' time in what should be Mexico on 527 points, Ferrari on 394 and Red Bull on 289. It's the battle mainly between Renault, Toro Rosso, Racing Point and Alfa Romeo and Haas that we're all watching. That midfield incredibly close. Renault leading on 67 points, Toro Rosso 55, Racing Point 46, Alfa Romeo is 35 and the outside chance is Haas F1 on 26 points. 1 point though still is for Williams. It's round 16 of the 2019 Formula One calendar, the Russian Grand Prix at the Sochi Autodrome, and it should be, hopefully, a great weekend ahead. Welcome to Russia. Right, before we get started, let's take a quick look around the Sochi Autodrome in the 2019 Toro Rosso, with this being Danica Kvyat's home race. Let's take a look around this Sochi Autodrome, 5.848 kilometres, 53 laps ahead of us. The first Grand Prix back in 2014, race distance 209.745 kilometres, and the lap record is a 135.861 set by Valtteri Bottas last season. Start the clock, head down now, the long sweep of a right-hand turn 1, open up the DRS in 8th gear and hurtle down towards the first real braking spot on the track, which is turn 2, past round the old Olympic flame. Now, heavy braking spot turn 2, a little bit wide, as you round turn 3 now. Continuous loop, 6th gear, pull 7th, round the flags of the nations where the Olympic torch once was. Heavy braking now into turn 4, down 4th gear, accelerate up 5th gear, 6th gear, hold it there as you have to drop down again into 4th gear for the tight of turn 5. 6 and 7 come up quick, just a little flick to the right before the harder braking down 5th gear. Get on the power as you head towards the ice skating arena now as you come into turn 8 and 9. Turn 10 and the second DRS detection point, drop down 4th gear, another tight right but leads onto the long back straight of turn 11, 12, with you open up the DRS, pull 8th gear as well, and hurtle down to the tricky braking spot. You turn with the DRS open, then you brake into turn 13, down all the way to third gear, hold that round 14, 15, coming up now as well, drop down all the way, third gear, down to second, 15, 16, back into the third sector, hug the apex as you come into 17 and 18, two right-handers at 90 degrees to complete the lap, and as soon as you're at the last corner, you are across the line at the exit to start another lap. A 1 minute 38 that lap, the drivers will be aiming for 1:36s. Right, let's start then with the qualifying report and go through what happened in qualifying 1. Only 19 drivers made an appearance in the first part of qualifying because Danny Kvyat will have to start from the pit lane in today's race after taking yet another internal combustion engine after a failure in free practice 3. But it was made worse though, as Alexander Albon crashed down at turn 13, locked the rear tyre, took too much speed into the corner, round he went into the back of the barrier. So that brought out the red flag and about a 20-minute delay to the whole procedure of qualifying. Ferrari sent Vettel and Leclerc out on the medium tyres, the only team to do so in the first session. Leclerc set a competitive time, but Vettel found himself in traffic and was in the elimination zone when the red flag came out. He was able to go back out onto the circuit, get the time and get safely into qualifying 3. Ferrari fortunately used a set of soft tyres with that one. Raikkonen made a mess of the final corner, undoing the hard work he's done in these first 2 sectors, and that put him down the order. But in the elimination zone, we had Raikkonen, Russell, Kubica, Albon and Kvyat. So really, the only surprise there was Albon pulling it into the barrier. But at least we know that 2 of the people with penalties start at the back. On to qualifying 2 then, Mercedes decided to play a different factor, not qualifying on the soft compound tyre, instead putting Bottas and Hamilton for the first half of the race on the longer duration medium compound tyre, which is about a 5/10 of a lap slower overall. So they're going to start the first stint on the medium compound. Mercedes failed to match Ferrari so far this weekend, so that's why they had to decide if we can't beat them in qualifying, we'll have to beat them in the race. Leclerc set a pace once more with a 10th quicker than teammate Sebastian Vettel, so Ferrari dominated so far this weekend. Grosjean had a supreme run, but knocked out were Gasly, Perez, Giovinazzi, Magnussen and Stroll. On to qualifying 3 then, and it was pretty much decided on the first runs. Charles Leclerc taking his 4th pole position, out-qualifying the field by about 0.3 of a second. He is on a roll. Ever since he's been back for the summer break, it's been pole after pole after pole for Leclerc. Hamilton lines up second on the grid. Vettel, however, was second, but demoted back to third. Hamilton had a fantastic last lap. In the last sector especially, just rocketed him up, splitting the 2 Ferraris. But for the first time since 2000, it's been Ferrari's first 4 poles in a row by one driver, and that was Michael Schumacher, the last man to do it. Now the last man to do it is Charles Leclerc. Sainz lines up 5th as well. Norris had appeared quicker than Sainz in early qualifying, but it was pretty much a slow third qualifying. Let's take a look then at the grid for the 2019 Russian Grand Prix. So Charles Leclerc lines up on pole position for the 6th time this year and for the 4th race running. Alongside him is Lewis Hamilton. Row 2, Sebastian Vettel, Valtteri Bottas. Row 3, Carlos Sainz, Nico Hülkenberg. Row 4, Lando Norris, Romain Grosjean. Row 5, Max Verstappen with a 5-place grid penalty alongside Danny Ricciardo. Row 6, Sergio Perez, Antonio Giovinazzi. Row 7, Kevin Magnussen, Lance Stroll. Row 8, Kimi Raikkonen and Pierre Gasly with a 5-place grid penalty. Row 9, George Russell, Alexander Albon, 5-place grid penalty. And in row 10, we see Robbie Kubica 19th and Danny Kvyat in 20th, for required to start at the back of the grid for a new power unit. But Danny Kvyat will start from the pit lane. The pit stop strategy, well, a one-stopper is the fastest around this circuit, and that would be if you're starting on the soft tyre, going to the medium tyre, and around about lap 20, they can last this distance. If you go onto the hard compound tyre, expect them to go on earlier, around about lap 14, 15. That can take them to the end of the race. The tyres are not a problem here. We have had some overnight rain in Russia, so we could see that may be affecting the race. It's like a 20% chance, but it should be a dry race, and it should be more interesting to watch. this year because there's so much pressure on what's going on. Now, we're going through a slight delay with all the proceedings here today. It shouldn't affect the race. It's live right now on Sky Sports F1. But in the Formula 2 race, there was a red flag, a lengthy red flag, and it's delayed the whole process. We'll be back on Wednesday for the Grand Review podcast. Enjoy the race, and it's bye for now.